Hello fellow modelers, Bruce here. Well, as I continue to plan for the engine service facilities on the upper deck on the Slate Run, we have all the major structures built. There's the Campbell Sand House. That's a fine scale miniature bucket coal loading facility. Little coal shed there, and that's a scratch-built water tank, and fine scale miniatures two-stall engine house. I just have some track laying there for me, help me visualize it. But in any engine service facility, there were lots of shacks, sheds, and shanties, and I have some of them built, but I have room for more. So I'm just kind of looking here, saying where would I place some more little structures. I have that Model Hobbies inspector shanty made out of an old supposedly abandoned boxcar. I think that can fit back there. This is a scratch build shed. I'm not going to use it there, but I'm thinking that area could use a little shack, shed, shanty of some type. Maybe a little something that looks like a pump house back in here for the water tank. And then I got this fairly large open area before you get to the covered bridge. And although I can put some trees and stuff in here, which I plan to do, more foliage is coming in here too. There's room for 3, 4 more little structures there. You know, it was so common that the engine service facilities were crammed with little storage sheds and offices and, inspectors' houses, etc. And I know this is a logging railroad, so some things like, speeder shed, which was very common on Class 1 railroads, would not be appropriate here. But there was a number of companies who put out kits that included anywhere from 3 to 6 little structures for around the yards, and I think we will take a look at some of those in this video. So follow along. Well, here are 2 of the kits that have loads of trackside details that would be found around a engine service facility. Campbell had a number of kits put out for the Kiowa. They had a station for that. It was like a junction that they were supplying kits for. And this is their trackside details for the Kiowa area number 1, and I'll show you what's included there. But for structures, there was a speeder shed. I think that's a hose shanty there. Another good size building over here. We'll look at them on the plans. And then they had trackside details number 2. And I'm not familiar what's in there, but both of these show up fairly regularly on eBay and typically quite reasonable for the number of structures you get out of it. We'll look at the detailed plans and get a better look at what's included in the kit in a minute. Then there's Model Hobbies, and you've seen me build Model Hobbies kits before. They are all wood. This is yard accessories. They're kit number 545, and has a good number of structures in there. So we'll look at their plans too. Let's start with the Campbell, and I think you can see it's pretty good in this set of diagrams. They include a semaphore tower, and that's the plan that they would have you build your ladder from. I use my ladder jig. Here's that hose house, a small structure. They show you how to make a little toolbox that would be out in the yard. And power relay poles, which I would not use in this yard in a old lumbering railroad. Junction box, water pump template. So they give you lots of stuff. Here's the maintenance shed. That's the actual size of the structure. And of course they have it so that you could put a speeder in it. If I were to put this, into the Slate Run Railroad engine facilities, I probably would put a double door on there like that, but I would not put any tracks going into it to store a speeder shed. So that's one of the bigger structures in this set. And then here's a tool shed, which is a smaller structure. And again, that kind of could fit almost anywhere. So, that's kind of what's in the Campbell kit. And, of course, as is typical, more detailed plans for how to build it and instructions and so forth. And they provide, as they did in many of their kits, a small outhouse. And that I definitely want to include, probably more than one, someplace around that yard. So that's Campbell. And Model Hobbies had what they call a brakeman's shelter, which is open in the front, some benches in there. They show you how to make a stack of ties and a way that you do it to prevent rot from starting from the rain. And here's a nice little, just a yard shanty. And that, I think, would fit nicely into my setting, so I'll probably build that one. This is an open front storage shelter, kind of with a couple compartments inside, but just open front with a slant roof. And another outhouse. And dispatcher's office, which again is generic enough that you could probably make it into just about anything. So what I probably will do is pick and choose a couple of these and build them to put them up on that Slate Run engine service facility, and probably tack that onto this video. And today there's companies that are putting out kits with multiple shack sheds and shanties. Bar Mills has their Shack Pack, as that one comes to mind. But also Banta Model Works has one that's called the Rico Outbuildings. And Rico was one of their junction points that they were making models for. These outbuildings from Banta fit into this kind of setting. I'll put a picture of that up in this video right after I'm done talking here. And Magnuson, who's known for their kind of resin casting buildings, has a set called Trackside Structures, and I'll put a picture of those there too. And both Magnuson and Banta can be found readily out there on the net. So yeah, a lot of companies made these, and I'm sure I'm not covering them all, but a layout can eat up loads and loads of small shacks and sheds. So these are good to have in your collection. So I'll show you the pictures of the Banta and the Magnuson offerings, and then when I pick up on this video in a while, we'll be building something. Maybe it'll be an outhouse or one of those other sheds and shacks that I just showed you. So talk to you again soon. Okay, next up on my modeling bench is this Model Hobbies set of yard buildings. Call that they're yard accessories, kit number 545, which we looked at earlier. And the first thing I did was photocopy these plans. As you can see, the paper is disintegrating in places, and so instead of destroying them completely, I've made photocopies of both sides of both of those, and these can get put aside for now. So here are the 4 pages of photocopies. The next thing I did was, keeping these in hand and looking at the parts list for each one, tried to identify what was in each of these glassine envelopes because they were not labeled, and I didn't want to take the staples out, so I was looking through each one and find something that distinguished it, such as in this one, it had this brick paper, and I was able to figure out that that was for the dispatcher's office, so I labeled that. And if you look at the dispatcher's office, where do I have it here? There it is. That's kind of what it's going to look like. That's not one of the ones I want to build right now for the current area that I'm trying to fill in, but this little yard shanty is one that I would put there. And I did identify that package as well by the shape of one of the roofs, seeing that it was a slant roof like that. And so I went through and labeled each package. The brakeman shelter, this is obviously the outhouse, you didn't have to label that. And yard storage shelter. These are stained ties because they show you a picture of a stack of ties and how to make that for in your yard, some area. Here's the diagram for the stack of ties. So yeah, I'm going to start with the yard shanty and the outhouse. And the other things that are in here are these black bags, and shaking them, I would say one of them is sand. Maybe they're both sand, or one's sand and one's gravel. And that's for the yard storage shelter that has all these compartments where you could have, one with sand in it and one with gravel and so forth. So I'm leaving those unopened and in the bottom of the box right now too. And the only other thing that was in the box was this cardstock sheet of black and white signs for around the yard, and various railroads, the Erie, the nickel plate, and so forth. I'm just going to put that in with my collection of signs because, first of all, they're starting to get yellow, and secondly, I don't need them for my logging area here. So, yeah, I am going to move forward with just the 2 that I mentioned and put everything else away for the moment and get started. So I'll come back when I am working on both the outhouse and the yard shanty. Talk to you then. Okay, here are all the pieces of the outhouse, such as they are. This is the error of die stamping, and so you can see, I think, if I get the light right, the door in the outhouse is die stamped. I really don't have to punch it out because I can just put the 1/32 trim all around it and some Z-bracing on the outside and leave it be. So probably what I will do. And there's a very faint stamp of half of a circle, like a C, that you could maybe with some black paint or something very carefully make look like the half moon on top. We'll see if I try to attempt that. I might just take a very small drill and drill a complete hole up there for ventilation. Because this is so thin, I think this is probably 1/32 scribe siding, I decided I did not want to risk really warping it. There's not much room for bracing here. And so I am doing my coloring with my go-to markers, Prismacolor markers. And this is Cool Gray 40%. 50% gets significantly darker, 30% you can almost not see it. So yeah, I'm doing both sides with the marker, and these are the sides of the outhouse. If you do both sides, this is got enough juice in it that I guess it could warp it, but if you do both sides, it's minimal. So I'll let that dry, and then I will start gluing it. They've given me angle, 90 degree angle pieces for the side trim around the four walls, some 1/32 strip wood. It gave me enough for all the structures in the kit. So yeah, do the outhouse first and then go over to the yard shanty. So that's front and rear wall, side walls, corner braces, trim around the door, and these two are the subroof. I still have to decide what to put on that. Could be tar paper, could be shingles, could be corrugated metal. We'll see which I do. All right, come back to you soon. Progress on this little outhouse. And as usual, when constructing a structure of any size, I glue two walls together into an L and the other two walls together into an L and then glue them together. Although not called for, because they do give you this 90-degree outside corner bracing, I did put inside some 1/32 by 1/32 wood as a brace. So I got those two to glue together now, which is what I will do. And that will give me my structure. And while I was at it, knowing how many outhouses I'm going to need, I did make a styrene template of the front and rear peaked walls. So if I want to make some more of them, I just lay that down on some scribe siding and go at it. Now, I will glue these together, probably insert some inside bracing in those corners, and then put the four corner pieces on, and I will come back and show you that when I'm doing it. I know I've mentioned this before, but I'll tell you again. You know I use Aleene's tacky glue. I always keep it in an old plastic peanut butter car upside down, especially now that this is 99% empty. It keeps the glue down near the nozzle, and you don't lose time shaking it and trying to get it down there. All right, I'll come back when I get the four walls together and get ready for the roof. Talk to you then. Alrighty, we're coming to an end on the build of this major structure, and nice looking little outhouse, and I got the subroof on. Now what I did was looking in this direction, side to side this way, they had quite an overhang front and back, you can see here. And I just decided to lop about a scale foot off of the length. Still has an overhang front and back, just not as severe. And I decided to go with black tar paper roof. And my favorite medium for that, if you've been following, is kraft paper, K-R-A-F-T. Comes on big rolls. It's very thin. You are familiar with the brown version, which to this day is being used to stuff in packages to keep them from rolling around. It used to be used on the outside to wrap packages and tie it in place with string and tape. But now it comes in big rolls, and almost every school district has many of those rolls because they use them at the elementary level and in the art department to cover bulletin boards and so forth. And so I have plenty of it coming out of a school district in both black and green. And since rolled roofing frequently came in green, I use it once in a while. And what I'm going to do now is just cut one 3-foot strip off. But first I'm going to go in with some very fine wet dry paper. Those of us my age call it emery cloth. But and just rough it up, and that actually thins it down even more as well. And once I've done that, I'll cut a 3-foot strip off, and I will take a 3-foot strip and start it at the bottom of the roof, which should bring it up to about where my pointer is here. And the same thing on the other side, and the last 3-foot one I'll wrap over the top, and it should look just fine. So I'll show it to you when it's done. Okay, the little outhouse is done. The tar paper roof is on, gave it just a little bit of toning down and aging using, I guess this is eyeshadow. Picked that up, a whole bunch of colors that are in natural oranges and browns and tans, and even something that goes towards gray. So yeah, it goes on pretty good. Use a eyeshadow brush and roll some on. So that's done, and next up will be the yard shanty. So I'll see you when I start working on that. All right. This is the Model Hobbies yard shanty, and it's a very small structure, but again, in this case, walls are stained, windows are cut out, they were die stamped. This is of an era where the windows were produced on acetate. And I'm going to use them. I mean, I could replace them with plastic castings, but I'm going to use the windows that came with this kit, and this should be a nice weekend project and get that little shanty out of the way, so it's all ready to go again. A real quick update on my decision to use the printed acetate windows instead of replacing them with plastic windows. I think it doesn't look bad at all. Yeah, I think it'll look fine. Now what I do is take some 1x4 stock and I trim the inside, like in here, any of the open area that would have the raw edge of the walls showing, and I trim them up. So I trim all around the inside of the window, all around the inside of the window. Then I install the glazing from the back, and then I put the window trim on the front. And I think it's okay. And I'm even going to use this door, which I think you can see is embossed with some panels and so forth. And I think that'll look fine when it's installed as well. So no need to go new school and replace them with plastic castings. All right, next step is to glue the walls together. Once again, I will do it as 2 L's. Do one side like this, and then the other side, 2 sides together, and then glue those together. So we'll come back again when the walls are glued together. Talk to you again soon. Well, the Model Hobbies Yard Accessories Yard Shanty. This is one of the several little structures that were in that Model Hobbies Yard Accessories box. It's done now. Built with, I guess, just about all the original parts, including those windows that are printed on acetate, like this. and it came out pretty good. The back of the building has a hose cabinet on it there. The pipe is actually wooden dowel cut at 45 degrees and glued together down there. And a couple of windows in the back, a little overhang on the door, fit nice in a lot of different locations. So what I'll do is we'll finish this up by bringing it over to the layout and putting it not necessarily in its final place, but something a little more scenic than this. And we'll finish up this video. Okay, talk to you again soon. Well, here they are. This little outhouse that was part of the Model Hobbies package, in the same glassine envelope as the yard shanty. And I haven't finished putting the greeneries here behind the building, but you get the idea. And here's a slightly different angle to it. So again, as I've said, any layout can eat up loads and loads and loads of small structures. They're part of the scenery. They're scenic effects, if you will. And, you know, they're 2-3 night projects, something like this. You can scratch build yourself in 2 evenings. You don't have to buy a kit like I did here, but I enjoy some of these old kits and building them according to specs. So yeah, there we have it. This will finish up this video, and this is the first of what I'm calling the winter projects for the winter of 25-26, and it's, you know, we're in the last couple days of October, so I got a kind of an early start on it, but you know, it was tempting because so much of it was stained and ready to go. So all right, I think I might just finish up with putting a better scene around it using artificial intelligence, and we'll call it quits for this video. As always, if you did enjoy the video and this little look at those old kits that had loads of yard buildings, then please give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you again soon.